Welcome everyone to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're really getting into something fascinating, opening up an ancient document, looking at the history of a particular people.
That's right.
Our focus is the generations and rulers of Esau and Edom, and we're drawing heavily from, well, some incredibly detailed records in the book of Genesis.
Very detailed.
Our goal really is to unpack these, complex family trees, the migrations, the way leadership worked back then.
Exactly.
And you have to ask, what can a list of names and places, thousands of years old, actually tell us about, well, power, how nations get started, migration?
It's surprising how much, actually. These lists aren't just lists.
Right. You might be surprised by the patterns, the insights we can pull out of this. So let's get started.
Let's do it.
Okay, so to really grasp Edom, we need to begin with the main figure, Esau. He's also called Edom, which is key.
Yes, the text makes that connection explicit. Esau is Edom.
Let's trace his sort of initial family setup and the big decisions that really shaped their early path.
Okay, so the source tells us Esau took his wives from the daughters of Canaan. There was Ada, daughter of Elon the Hittite.
Hittite, right.
And Aholibama. No, she was the daughter of Anna, who was the daughter of Zibeon the Hivite.
Okay, so multiple local groups represented there.
Exactly. And also Bashemath, who was Ishmael's daughter, the sister of Nebajoth. So connections beyond Canaan, too.
Interesting. And from these wives?
Several sons were born while they were still in Canaan. Eliphaz from Ada, Reuel from Bashemath, and then Jush, Jalem, and Korah from Aholibama. This is the starting point for the family structure that becomes the Edomite nation.
Got it. So we've met the initial family, but here's where it gets really interesting for me. What made them pick up everything, the whole household, livestock, all their wealth, and leave Canaan?
Yeah, that's a pivotal moment.
It wasn't just like a casual move. This was major.
Right. And the source is very specific, which is great for us. It gives a really practical, almost economic reason. It says, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, their riches were more than that they might dwell together. Basically, they were too prosperous.
Too prosperous? How does that work?
Well, the land they were in, the text calls it the land wherein they were strangers. It just couldn't support both Esau's massive herds and presumably Jacob's household and herds as well. Too much livestock for the available grazing land.
Ah, I see. So it wasn't conflict or famine driving them out, but success, overabundance.
Exactly. Their own wealth and the size of their operation essentially forced the move. It's a fascinating dynamic.
That really is. A kind of pressure from prosperity itself. We see versions of that even today, don't we? Resources and population density.
We do. And this pressure led Esau to settle in Mount Seir.
Mount Seir. And that's the crucial link, right? The text says Esau is Edom. Settling there cements that identity.
Precisely. That geographical move defines the nation.
Okay, so they've arrived in Mount Seir. What's next? How does the family line continue and expand there?
Well, it certainly doesn't stop. In Mount Seir, his sons really start establishing their own distinct family lines, their own power bases, if you will.
Right.
So Eliphaz, Esau's son, with Ada, he has several sons mentioned, Timon, Omar, Zepho, Gadam, Kenaz.
Okay.
And there's a specific note about Eliphaz having a concubine named Timnah, who bore him Amalek. That name, Amalek, becomes significant later on.
Amalek. Okay, noted. What about the other sons?
Reuel, the son from Bashemath. His line also produced leaders. Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, Mizah.
Got it.
And Aholibama's sons, born back in Canaan, Jush, Jolam, Korah. They also become heads of families, foundational figures in Edom.
So it's this rapid branching out, creating multiple clans?
Exactly. The key takeaway isn't necessarily memorizing every single name, but seeing this quick diversification of Esau's descendants within their new territory.
Now, the text uses a specific term for these leaders, dukes. What does that actually mean in this context? What kind of authority are we talking about?
That's a good question. Duke here likely translates a term meaning something like a chieftain or a clan leader.
Yeah.
Think regional head.
So not a king in the way we might think of it later.
Not yet, no. It points to a more decentralized structure, a hierarchy within these emerging Edomite communities. The text says these dukes came of their fathers in the land of Edom.
Meaning they inherited their position.
It suggests hereditary leadership, yes, descending directly from Esau's sons. So you get Duke Tepin, Duke Omar, Duke Zepho, Duke Kenaz.
Okay.
And from Reuel's line, Duke Nahath, Duke Zerah, Duke Shammah, Duke Mizah.
Yeah.
And from Holibama's, Duke Shush, Duke Jalem, Duke Korah.
So each son's lineage produces these dukes.
Right. They represent the sort of foundational cells of the Edomite society. They're evolving from just family heads into these regional chieftains. It's typical of early tribal societies, really.
That makes sense. Decentralized power, setting the stage perhaps for something more unified later.
Precisely.
But okay, Mount Seir wasn't empty when Esau arrived, was it? Who was there first?
No, absolutely not empty. That's a crucial piece of the story if we want the full picture of how Edom actually formed.
Right.
The original inhabitants, according to the source, were the Horites. They were descendants of Seir the Horite.
Seir the Horite, okay.
And interestingly, his children were also described using terms that imply leadership, perhaps similar to dukes, their own lines of authority. Names like Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anna, Disan, Ezer, Dishon.
So an established society was already there.
Yes, with its own structure and descendants. The text lists quite a few of them.
You mentioned Anna, one of the Horite figures. Doesn't the text include a sort of unique little story about him?
It does. It's one of those fascinating specific details that jumps out. It says this: Anna found the mules in the wilderness as he fed the asses of Zibeon, his father.
Found the mules. What does that even mean? Like wild mules, or did he breed them?
Well, the text isn't entirely clear how he found them, whether it was discovery or, maybe early hybridization. But it's presented as a notable event, a little snapshot of perhaps innovation or just keen observation in their daily life out there managing livestock.
Huh. Interesting. And this Anna is important for another reason, too, isn't he, in relation to Esau's family?
Yes, absolutely critical for understanding the interaction. The text explicitly states that Aholibama, who we mentioned as one of Esau's wives.
Right, the daughter of Anna, daughter of Zibeon.
Exactly. She is the daughter of Anna, this Anna the Horite who found the mules.
So Esau married into the local Horite leadership.
It certainly looks that way. It shows significant intermingling integration between the incoming Edomites and the indigenous Horites.
So it wasn't just conquest and displacement. There was marriage blending.
Yes, that's what this detail strongly suggests. This mixing of peoples, of bloodlines, would have been fundamental in shaping what Edomite identity became. It wasn't purely Esau's descendants in isolation.
That's a really important layer. It makes the story much more complex.
It does. And, just to show the level of detail, the source then lists more Horite descendants: Lucan's children, Shobal's children, Zibeon's other children, Anna's son Disan and his children, and so on.
Right. It's almost overwhelming, the names.
It can be.
Yeah.
But the point isn't really to memorize them all. It's to appreciate how meticulously these ancient records were trying to map out the entire social and genealogical landscape of these groups. The connections mattered.
Okay, so we have Esau's descendants establishing themselves as dukes. We have the existing Horite population also with their own leaders. And we see intermarriage happening. What does this lead to, politically speaking? We've mentioned dukes, but then the text shifts, doesn't it? It starts talking about kings.
It does, and that's a really significant development. It suggests a move towards a more centralized form of rule.
A step up from decentralized clan chieftains.
Exactly. And what's particularly striking is the phrasing the source uses. It lists these kings who reigned in the land of Edom before there reigned any king over the children of Israel.
Before Israel had kings. That's a major historical claim.
It is. It positions Edom as having achieved this level of political organization, a centralized monarchy relatively early, actually predating Israel's own famous kingdom under Saul and David.
Wow. Okay, so it wasn't just a loose collection of tribes for long.
Apparently not. It suggests a fairly developed political entity emerged there.
So let's walk through that list of kings. Does the source give us any details about them, where they ruled from, or anything notable they did?
It gives some specifics, yes. The first one mentioned is Bela, son of Yor. His city was Dinhabah.
Ben-Habal, okay.
After Bela died, Jobab, son of Zerah, from Bozrah, reigned. Bozrah becomes an important Edomite city.
Right.
Then came Husham, from the land of Temani, connecting back to that earlier dukedom, perhaps.
Possibly. Makes sense.
After Husham died, we get Hadad, son of Bedad. And he's notable because the text says he smote Midian in the field of Moab.
Smote Midian. So military action. Expansion.
Seems like it. A significant victory, projecting power outside of Edom proper into Moabite territory against the Midianites.
Yes.
His city was Avith.
Okay, so clear military activity there. Who followed Hadad?
Samlah from Mizraika. Then Saul from Rehoboth by the river, perhaps the Euphrates or maybe a local river. The text isn't specific.
Saul. Same name as the later Israelite king, interestingly.
Indeed. Then came Bohanan, son of Achbor. And finally, the last king listed in this sequence is Hadar. His city was Pau.
Adar.
And for Hadar, the text gives that unusually detailed note about his wife. Mehetabel, daughter of Matred, who was the daughter of Mezahab.
That is specific. Why mention the wife's lineage in such detail, I wonder?
It's hard to say for sure. Perhaps her lineage was particularly prestigious, or maybe it cemented an important alliance. It's one of those details that sparks curiosity.
Definitely. So, looking at this list overall, Bela, Jobab, Husham, Hadad, Samlah, Saul, Bohanan, Hadar, what's the big picture takeaway?
The big picture is that this shows a clear succession, an established monarchy in Edom. It points to a stable political structure with recognized centers of power like Dinhaba, Bozrah, Avith, Pau. And critically, it places this developed kingship chronologically before Israel's. It suggests Edom underwent state formation quite early.
Moving beyond those initial tribal dukedoms we talked about.
Right. It's a progression towards a more centralized system.
Okay, that's incredibly helpful to see that development. Now, the text does circle back to the dukes one last time, doesn't it? It gives another list, almost like a final summary.
It does, yes. It's slightly different, perhaps representing a later arrangement or just summarizing the main ducal families recognized over time.
How is this final list presented?
It lists them according to their families, after their places, by their names. So linking lineage, location, and the individual leader.
Makes sense. And who's on this final list?
It includes names like Duke Timnah, Duke Alva, Duke Jetheth, Duke Aholibama, named after Esau's wife, perhaps their descendants, Duke Elah, Duke Pinion, Duke Kenaz, Duke Timon, recurring important names, Duke Mibzar, Duke Magdiel, and Duke Eram.
So a mix of names, some we've seen, some maybe representing later branches or locations.
Exactly. And the source then concludes this whole section with a very definitive statement. These be the dukes of Edom, according to their habitations in the land of their possession. He is Esau, the father of the Edomites.
He is Esau, the father of the Edomites. It brings it right back to the origin point.
Yes, it reinforces that connection. Even with the kingship emerging, these foundational ducal families tied to specific places remained a key part of the Edomite identity and structure.
So to recap our deep dive then, we've traced Esau's family, looked at the really practical economic reasons for that major migration out of Canaan.
Pressure of prosperity, yeah.
We saw the interaction and the intermingling with the existing Horite population in Mount Seir, which is crucial.
The blending of peoples.
And then we charted this fascinating political evolution in Edom from those early clan chieftains, the dukes, to a full-blown established monarchy with a succession of kings, a kingship that, according to this source, actually predates the Israelite monarchy.
A really comprehensive picture emerges from what looks, at first glance, like just lists of names.
It really does. It's a snapshot of ancient nation building in action.
Indeed. And, it makes you think. This incredible level of detail, meticulously recording one specific lineage, its movements, its structures. What does that tell us about themes that still resonate today?
How so?
Well, think about the enduring human patterns, right? Migration driven by resources or a lack thereof, or even too much, as we saw here. The ways power gets established and consolidated, moving from family heads to chiefs to kings. The formation of national identity through shared ancestry, territory, and interaction with others.
Yeah.
How different is it, really, from the forces shaping nations and identities, even in our own time? It's quite provocative to consider.
That's a fantastic point. These ancient records aren't just about the past. They hold up a mirror to these persistent human dynamics. Migration, power, identity. It's all there.
Exactly.
Well, that's certainly something for all of us to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today.
My pleasure.
We really hope you, our listeners, continue to mull over these connections and the broader implications long after this conversation ends.